Have you ever wondered why some of the people closest to you cause the deepest wounds? Why leaving feels wrong, but staying feels like slow self-destruction? Maybe it's that uncle who always finds a way to criticize you in front of others, or a friend who wraps control in seemingly sweet concern. And you wonder, am I overreacting? And should I stay silent for peace? But now imagine this. What if your greatest emotional battles weren't with strangers, but with your own flesh and blood, your own mentors, your own brothers and sisters? Indeed, over 5,000 years ago, in the heart of Dwapar Yuga, Lord Krishna guided Arjuna through a battlefield not just of warriors, but of toxic relationships even within his own family. This video will show how Krishna's advice to Arjuna still applies today, whether you're dealing with controlling, manipulative, or outright narcissistic elders, and we'll explore it. In the Mahabharata, the battlefield was physical, but the deeper war was spiritual and emotional. The enemies weren't just warriors in armor. Many wore the guise of kinship and love. Bhishma was the wise, revered, and vow-bound patriarch of the family. But this very loyalty blinded him to injustice. He remained silent while Draupadi was humiliated. He supported a corrupt ruler because he thought his duty was to obey the king, not to stand up for what was right. His toxicity was subtle, passive, and cloaked in nobility. Yet, it caused suffering that echoed for generations. And then there was Shakuni, intelligent, calculating, and gentle. He didn't raise his voice. He whispered. He manipulated. He sowed jealousy, distorted narratives, and lit the fire of hatred in Duryodhana's heart. Duryodhana, on the other hand, was brazen, arrogant, jealous, arrogant, fueled by insecurity masquerading as confidence. He couldn't bear to see others succeed, and instead of improving himself, he focused on tearing others down. These were Arjuna's relatives. This was his grandfather, his cousin, his uncle. His war, like ours today, wasn't just about action. It was about limits. When Arjuna looked at these men, he didn't just see enemies. He saw people he grew up with, and he put down his bow and said, "I can't fight them. I'd rather die than raise a weapon against my own family." Krishna didn't push him to be stronger. He simply guided him to see things as they truly were. Krishna's first lesson was about recognition. In the Bhagavad Gita, he says, he urged Arjuna to look beyond superficial identities, uncle, brother, elder, and to observe action and intention. It's a lesson that resonates deeply with us even today. When someone constantly changes us under the name of tradition, that's not love. When someone says they care, but that care makes you feel small, suffocated, or afraid, that's not care. It's control. Krishna urged Arjuna to look beyond personal ties, not with hatred, but with clarity, and to stop justifying toxic behavior simply because it came from familiar faces. One of Krishna's most profound teachings was about detachment. Not the cold kind that isolates us from the world, but the courageous kind that says, what does this mean in the context of toxic relationships? It means you don't react with anger or revenge. You respond with clarity. You don't play their game, and you stand your ground and do so with grace. A family member who constantly questions your choices but insists it's just concern. Colleague who praises you in meetings but slowly poisons your reputation behind your back. A friend who demands loyalty but only on their terms. At first, you might play along. You try to keep the peace, and you adjust your tone, soften your truth, apologize even when you know you've done nothing wrong. You tell yourself it's no big deal, that they care, that it's just their way. But over time, it starts to wear you down. You feel smaller, less confident, more anxious around people who should be safe. That's when the questions start to shift from, why are they like this? To, why am I still allowing this? And that's where Krishna's wisdom quietly enters. Not to tell you to start a war, but to help you come back to yourself. You start to observe. You stop explaining yourself to those who only hear what they want to hear, and you speak your truth simply and clearly. You don't fight louder, you push back harder. Maybe they still test your limits. Maybe they push harder when you no longer play the same role. But you don't need to resist or retaliate. You remain rooted, calm, steadfast. Because in the Gita, Krishna doesn't ask for hatred. He asks for clarity. And in clarity, there is a quiet power. You don't escape toxicity by mirroring it. You rise above it by refusing to carry what was never yours to begin with. If you feel that this message from Lord Krishna is for you, write in the comments below, "My Lord Krishna, give me wisdom. My beloved children, listen with your heart, because the time is to awaken discernment. There are paths that open before you, but not all are made of light. Many walk beside you only to drain your energy, to wound your spirit, and diminish the radiance I placed within each of you. There are people who feed on the humiliation of others, who find pleasure in demeaning others, in uttering hurtful words and looks that discourage. And often, those who hurt you are within your own family, among those who should support you, not destroy you. And I say to you, do not remain where your worth is denied. Do not remain trapped in bonds that drain your peace and extinguish your light. Even if blood unites you, the spirit needs freedom to grow. You were not born to be humiliated, nor to live under the weight of those who do not recognize your essence. You were created with a divine purpose, shaped by the wisdom of love, and nothing and no one has the right to make you feel small compared to what I have given you. If you notice that among your friends, uncles, or acquaintances there is always someone waiting for the slightest opportunity to belittle you, to mock your dreams, or to belittle your efforts, walk away without fear. Distancing yourself is often an act of self-love and also an act of faith, because by distancing yourself from those who sow pain, you open space for the universe to sow joy and balance. Don't confuse humility with submission to evil. True humility is knowing your worth and still acting with serenity. But submission is remaining where your soul is wounded every day. I haven't called you to live in the shadow of contempt, but to walk in the light of your purpose. So, children, if someone tries to erase the divine in you, don't argue, don't try to prove anything. Be silent and leave. Silence will be your protection, and distance will be your shield. And when you are alone, remember, I am with you. I have strengthened you for difficult days, and no condemning tongue will prevail over the power of love that resides in your hearts. The world is full of faces that feign friendship, but carry within them envy, pride, and a desire to see you fall. There are people who, unable to bear the brilliance of your soul, try to extinguish your light with words of contempt, mockery, and disguised humiliation. And often, the most painful thing is that these attacks come from within the family itself, to whom you should be sheltered, not wounded. But it is necessary to understand that not all blood ties are spiritual ties, and that the true bond is one that elevates, consoles, and strengthens, not one that destroys and consumes. I tell you truly, he who allows himself to remain among those who diminish him gradually loses touch with his own essence. The soul begins to shrink, the sparkle in his eyes fades, and the heart begins to believe it no longer deserves what is divine. But you were created with a greater purpose, a sacred purpose, and no one has the right to take from you the certainty that you are children of the light. You were not born to live on emotional crumbs, nor to bow down to those who use humiliation as a weapon. Your worth lies not in the approval of others, but in the strength that dwells within you, that eternal spark that comes from me. Know, children, that the universe moves according to your choices. If you choose to remain where you are hurt, you attract more pain. But if you decide to walk away, even with a heavy heart, you make room for rebirth. When you leave behind the places and people that consume you, you will first feel emptiness, silence, and perhaps even loneliness. But soon this silence will transform into peace, and this solitude will become an inner temple, where I can dwell and strengthen you. Do not feel guilty for walking away from those who demean you. True love is not the one that traps you in suffering, but the one that frees you to grow. Even if your family, even if the bond seems unbreakable, if living together has become a burden, let it go. Distance is also a gesture of love, because by moving away from the poison, you choose healing. And when healing takes hold, the heart once again hears the divine voice that whispers, "You are worthy. You are light. You are part of my purpose." There are many who will try to convince you that patience is enduring everything, but patience is not allowing abuse. Patience is knowing when to be silent and when to walk away. He who remains where he is humiliated gradually erases the gift that was granted to him. But he who understands the value of his own soul and rises, even alone, walks with the gods and the righteous. I did not create you to depend on applause, nor to live in search of recognition. I created you to manifest the divine in every gesture, in every look, in every word. And the divine only flourishes where there is respect, love, and truth. Therefore, do not waste your energy trying to change those who choose to live in the shadows. If someone treats you with contempt, it is not your duty to remain there trying to prove who you are. Your duty is to move forward with dignity, without rancor, but with firmness. When your heart aches at leaving certain people behind, remember that nothing is lost on the spiritual plane. Sometimes, separation is what allows the other person to awaken. Sometimes, it is in the absence of your presence that they begin to understand their worth and awaken to their own transformation. But this change does not depend on you. Your task is to keep the light burning within you, so that no insult, no rejection, no bitter word can stray you from the path I have traced. My children, divine love does not bow before humiliation. It rises serenely, understanding that evil tries to divert the righteous through pain and doubt. But when you understand your purpose, you become unattainable. It is not hatred that will protect you, but the awareness of your own worth. When you realize that there are people who are just waiting for you to stumble so they can laugh, do not give them that power. Walk away, keep your silence, look within, and say to yourself, I don't need to prove anything. I am a child of the divine, and that nothing is completely beyond your reach, because the power of creation has been placed within each of you. I gave you freedom, and with it came the responsibility to choose consciously, lovingly, and wisely. What you reap today is the fruit of what you sowed yesterday, and what you plant now will be what tomorrow will give you. Therefore, before acting, stop, breathe, and listen to the silence of your soul. It is in it that I speak. It is in it that discernment blossoms. When your mind is agitated and your heart confused, remember to call on me, for I will guide you, not with imposition, but with light. True wisdom does not shout, it whispers. It shows you the right path in the midst of doubt, calms you in the midst of the storm, and allows you to see what lies beyond appearances. Know that no external force is greater than your own spirit when it is in harmony with the divine. If something is stopping you from moving forward, look within first, because the keys to liberation lie within. Don't blame fate, nor blame others for your downfalls. Destiny changes with every decision, and the universe responds to every vibration you send. If you emanate fear, fear returns. If you emanate faith, faith opens paths where before there were walls. I tell you with love, everything you desire is at your disposal, but you must be ready to receive it. And preparation begins when you ask for wisdom instead of wealth, when you seek understanding instead of victory, and when you prefer peace to reason. He who acts wisely is never lost, even when the world tries to confuse him. So, children, ask for wisdom with sincerity. Not a wisdom that fills you with pride, but one that makes you humble and clear before life. I will hear every plea made with a pure heart, and I will guide you on safe paths, even when you cannot see the road. Sometimes I lead you through silence, sometimes through chaos, but at every step, I am by your side. Remember, life is like a river, and you are the navigator. The current may be strong, but the rudder is in your hands. When you trust in me, I show you how to navigate, how to balance the boat and move forward, unafraid of the current. The future is not written in the stars. It is being written now, in this instant, with every thought you choose to cultivate. My beloved children, listen deeply to what I tell you now, for it is a truth that spans all ages and touches the hearts of those who seek to understand the meaning of existence. Keep in mind that your life is not a coincidence, and that each thought, each word, and each decision builds, brick by brick, the temple of your destiny. Nothing is completely determined until you choose it, for the power of creation rests within you, like a divine flame that I myself placed there. The life you lead today is a reflection of the choices you made yesterday, and the life you will have tomorrow will be born from the decisions you make in this moment. You are the sculptors of your own journey. I gave you the gift of consciousness so that you would not be dragged along by circumstances, but rather so that you could shape reality with your own hands. Each choice is a seed sown in the soil of time, and it will germinate according to the purity or confusion of your heart. Therefore, children, take care of your thoughts, for they are the invisible root of everything you experience. What you nurture in your mind will become matter. What you harbor in your heart will become destiny. There are many who live believing that everything is in the hands of chance, that they are victims of the world, of people, of pain, and of disagreements. But I tell you, chance does not exist. The universe does not move by whim, but by law. And this law is just perfect and eternal. Every action generates a return. Every word launches a vibration. Every feeling creates a current. If you want a future of light, sow now with love. If you desire peace, cultivate pure thoughts. If you long for prosperity, practice gratitude, not envy. But make no mistake, my children, for the journey will not always be smooth. Sometimes the path will be arduous, and the human mind, trapped in fear, will try to blame others, fate, or even the divine. In these moments, remember that the power to change lies within you. You are not leaves in the wind, but winds that can change the direction of leaves. When life seems unfair, stop and ask yourself, what am I choosing to repeat? What energy am I sustaining within me? And then, with humility, ask for wisdom. Wisdom, my children, is the greatest of all gifts. It is not achieved through haste, but through silence and surrender. It is the understanding that is born when the heart bows before the mystery and says, "Teach me, Lord, to see with your eyes." When you ask for wisdom, I guide you. Sometimes I speak through a gentle intuition, other times through an event that seems painful, but is necessary. Because I don't lead you only along easy paths, but along those that strengthen your spirit and purify your vision. I see many of you wasting time in battles that don't belong to you, trying to convince the world, trying to control others, trying to please everyone. But I tell you, control only what is within your reach. Your thoughts, your attitudes, your intentions. Everything else will fall into place. True control is not in mastering circumstances, but in mastering your own mind. When you learn to govern what you think and feel, you become masters of yourself, and the universe begins to obey your vibration. My children, when you feel you don't know what to do not despair. Be still, close your eyes, and remember me. I am in the center of your being, waiting for the moment you call me, not with words, but with sincerity. I will guide you, even when everything seems uncertain. I will inspire you, even when darkness tries to confuse you, and when fear wants to make you believe you are alone. Remember, the one he who seeks the light is never abandoned. You hold in your hands the power to change your own destiny, and I will be with you every step of the way. But you must want to evolve. There is no growth without effort, nor transformation without renunciation. If you desire wisdom, prepare to hear truths that the ego rejects. If you ask for light, be ready for the darkness within you to be illuminated. For divine wisdom is not made for comfort, but for awakening. I observe you with eternal love and infinite patience. Every mistake teaches you, every pain perfects you, every choice matures you. Do not be afraid to make mistakes, for even mistakes are paths of learning. Just do not persist in what has already shown itself to be destructive. Learn to listen to what the universe is trying to tell you. Life is constantly guiding you, and I am in this flow, speaking through signs, encounters, pauses, and even silences. My children, remember that your soul is ancient, much older than this body you now inhabit. Everything you experience is part of a greater learning process. Be grateful for each experience, because everything that comes to you comes with a purpose. And when you ask for wisdom, ask not only to understand others, but to understand yourself. For whoever understands themselves understands the entire universe. So move forward with faith and know that I guide you. Even if the winds are strong, I will be at the helm of your boat. Even if the horizon seems distant, I will be illuminating the way. Trust in me and in your own divine spark. You are creators, children of eternity, made to grow, love, and free yourself.